Hello everybody, this is Bootza from the Laser Sports Academy and just tuning in at the midway point of the Zone ZLTAC Australasian Championships. And I thought we'd have a quick look at some of the information that's come out so far, have a discussion about where some of those teams are at and what we've seen so far. If you're tuning in from another scene, or if you're don't know much about it at all, I will provide a little bit of background information on some of the teams and some of their history, and so that you can get a bit of context on some of this as well. So here's the team ladder now. We're going to have a look at the top teams and how they're travelling. So just keep in mind, these are the 12 round robin games where all teams kind of play each other in a round robin situation. So the round robin plays very differently to the next set of games that we're about to see, called the Cascades. And the Cascades is where all the teams play each other that are around each other on the ladder. So you get you get a different kind of meta strategy happening because you've always got teams that are around a similar skill level in the arena at the same time. So what we've got now is the round robin ladder. And typically in the round robin, what we see is teams trying to get as big an average score as possible, because that is the tiebreaker when competition points are equal. So they get 6 points for a win, 4 for a second, 2 for a third. And we see here at the top, Spartans have got 70, so they've only dropped one game. They've got 11 firsts and a second. So they're 6 points clear on top of the ladder. Then we've got Catalyst and One Up just behind them. And the reason I'm kind of grouping those three teams is because if you look at the average score, they're pretty close on average score. So they're all playing very well. Another thing about those teams is that they have, Spartans have 4 players in the top 25 on the solo ladder. Catalyst have 3 and One Up have 4, whereas a lot of the other teams only have 1 or 2 maximum. So they're the teams that are really got the individuals on the team that are scoring well, and that could be for various reasons. It could be strategy, it could be their system, the way they play. And we'll have a little bit of a chat about that as well. So essentially, you've got 6 points. Spartans are leading 6 points ahead of second, and then the next kind of 7 spots down to the Orcas in 8th is split by the next set of 6 points. So there are a lot of teams grouped. So what I'm kind of looking at is everything above 13th spot. So 13th spot and above, Hellhounds and above. So you can see there's a gap from 13th to 14th of 8 points. So I can remember speaking to Dark Omen from GP when they came over a couple of times in the last few years to play. And one of the compliments we got as a community was just how strong our middle tier is, which is something that isn't necessarily the case in other scenes. So. And what we mean by that is that you can drop a point, or you can drop games to anybody down to in the middle tier if you're not on your game, or if things don't go your way. And that's what we saw, that all those teams right the way down to the Hellhounds have, in fact, Gaza, I think, is leading the solo ladder, who is a Hellhounds player. So they have got players that are playing really, really high level zone. That you look at their lineup, they've got a lot of experience on there as well. So all of those teams are capable of creating an upset. Yeah, so the Spartans have only dropped one game. That one game was to One Up, which is understandable because One Up, we know their strength is essentially the One Up boys are from Victoria. Historically, they have been a very good scoring team. So once they get on a run on bases, they can be hard to stop, and they can be hard to pin down, catch up on. And that's what it looked like in the Spartans game. They actually won by a considerable amount in that game. It looks like they just got on top early and were able to win that game quite convincingly. But the Spartans haven't really done much wrong. They would have learnt from that game. They also will be very aware, and Madcan's the captain of that team, is, arguably if he wins this year, he'll be considered up there amongst the top captains that have ever played the game. He's already won 3 national titles, one of those as captain. So he's on his way to becoming, historically, one of the great captains of our Australasian scene. And he will know that the round robin result is you can't rest on that. He was in a situation in 2018 where he went through with the team I was playing on, undefeated in the round robin, and then proceeded to not make the final and get into 4th, and actually dropped as low as 8th at some stage in the Cascades. So because in the round robin you're playing a strong team and a less strong team in a lot of games, the games play very differently. So now coming into the Cascades, we're really going to see how strong these teams are strategically going into those games where there's 3 strong teams in a game. So, looking at one up, they've dropped 2/3 in a set and a second, and they're kind of 50-50 against the top group. So, but they do have a lot of players up in that top 25 in terms of the solo ladder, which is ranked on average score at the moment. Yeah, that is not uncommon for one up. They also don't get a huge amount of training locally against teams of their level. So this is a real tune-up for them going through the round robin, and it will be interesting to see how they go. In the Cascades, because they have been, there's been comments about them in the past about how they go strategically because of what happened in Darwin. They dropped down to 10th, and I think that they're a proud group, and they'll be wanting to look at that, and they're playing at home as well, and I feel like they won't let that happen again. And I feel like they'll be learning from all these games that they're playing, and they've got the talent to actually contend this year. So yeah, they'll be wanting to take full advantage of that, and I expect them to see go well in the Cascades. Catalyst. They've dropped 8 points. 8 points in total. They've got 2/3, which was interesting. So you drop 4 points for each third you get, and they got a bit whacked in one of them at least. They got 10k behind second and 15k behind third. So that appears to me that's a strategy thing. They've still got a lot of players up, scoring very well. Dodge is killing it. He's right up there on the solo ladder. So in his first year playing with them, he's doing very well. And for those of you who don't know, Catalyst is the old Wolfpack. They've made some lineup changes. They've now got Dodge, who's Mopar's son, and they've got Volley, who's come from New South Wales. He's an ex-New South Wales Code Red player. So they're still strong, and they've got Grubb. My understanding is Grubb's leading that team, who I've always had a lot of respect for as in terms of captaining. I think he's a great. He was always heavily underrated as a player because he, in the shadow of Wax and Husky and Lakio, but his game is as good on the packs as they are, and strategically he's really switched on. I've got no doubt he can lead that team. It'll all come down to what they learnt from those thirds. Did they learn what they needed to learn in order to compete well in Cascades? And sometimes you need those games to actually learn, and that's what the Spartans will be fully aware of. Canes will be like, let's not rest on our laurels here, because there's going to be lessons to learn, and you can easily drop from grace if you have a good round robin. It's all about what happens in the Cascades. So in terms of the Spartans won't be getting too ahead of themselves, and I don't think Catalyst will be too worried as long as they've learnt from those 2/3 they got. And then from there down, we've got Bendigo in 4th, Brisbane Brisbane Eclipse in 5th, and the Storm in 6th. That's kind of like rounding out that top group at the moment. That could change. All of those teams have got 1 or 2 players kind of playing. They've been a little bit inconsistent. I would say Sunny Coast Storm, they dropped a third in their first game, and then they've kind of won the games they needed to win, and then kind of gone 50-50 with the teams around them, and gotten seconds. They're very well captained by Cyrex. She's a good friend of Mad Cans, who's an extremely strategical player, so she understands the game and the strategy of the game very, very well. So they'd be pretty happy with where they're at. Eclipse would be wanting to move up. They've been a bit inconsistent with their results, but they're also a new team, and they're playing for the first time, so they'll be learning as well. It's great to see Bendigo back up there. They're the home team, so typically the other teams can catch up during the comp because they get more experience in the home arena. However, I feel like Bendigo could continue to improve as well, because they do have a lot of experienced players on their team, and they don't get a huge amount of opportunity to play competitively, is my understanding. So they will also be learning as they go through the comp. So they don't necessarily have to go through what might be considered a traditional drop from a home team, where they start off really strong and the other teams catch up. That doesn't necessarily have to be the case here. And I think Bendigo can consolidate their spot depending on how they go in the Cascades. So then again, we've got the gatekeepers, 7th and 8th, Apex and Orcas. Apex classically that gatekeeper team. Let's see how they go. Hobart Vikings in 9th, Aftershock from Adelaide in 10th, Albury Outlaws in 11th, and ACT Dragons in 12th. Great to see them back. And the WA Hellhounds in 13th. So that's just a quick rundown of the top group. We'll do more analysis after the Cascades, because we'll know a lot more at that point. Any other comments we can make? I just wanted to make a little bit of a comment on the solo ladder. So if I went back and I just looked at the top 5 players based upon what we historically ranked players, which is on GRC, just as a little bit of a intellectual exercise. Funnily enough, ranks in top spot with a GRC of 3.04, which is like massive, especially in an arena like this where what it appears to be is a lot of brawling around the doors and stuff like that. So to be able to continue to keep up a high tag ratio to get a GRC like that is really impressive. You've got Hybrid from WA in second, Gaza from WA in third, Taipan from Queensland in fourth, and Holmes from the Adelaide Aftershock in fifth. So yeah, interestingly, you don't have any of the players from the top 3 teams in that group. So there you go, just a little bit of a fun fact on that one. Okay, so that's a little bit on teams. Just quickly a quick update on side events so far. We've had all the side events have been played now, and we have winners from those. So in the solos, we had the leg from Queensland, got his first solos trophy, is my understanding, and it's a first place. He did win the local solos in Queensland recently, so he's an amazing player. He's come over from New Zealand. He's been playing with the Spartans. Obviously, that's helped him improve his game. So big congrats to him. VG Master from Canberra in second, which is great. I think that's the first trophy that's gone to Canberra for a while, which is a really great thing for their scene. And Husky again in third. So yeah, and will Husky win one day? Let's hope so. He's certainly got the talent to do it. LOR, Guinea wins his second Lord of the Rings, this time in the ring. And Wax has got he's got another second. I think he got second in 2019. He was definitely in the final in 2019. And then you've got Beefy, who's I think this is his 5th appearance in finals. So I don't know how he can be so consistent in Lord of the Rings, but Beefy manages to find a way. Yeah, so well done to the Lord of the Rings players. In doubles, great to see CV and Runt come through for Tassie, get a win in the doubles. Absolute monster in this comp in general, they are. They're playing really well, have a real good chance to compete this year at the pointy end. Spider and Wax, a super duo in second place, and then Gunner and Guinea from One Up in third place. Triples, we played on the skating rink doing the base flag style game, which was, it turned out to probably be a little bit more defensive than what everybody was hoping, but you know, it's an experimental competition, right? So this is going to happen. This is what we do to progress the sport, is we try things out and we learn from it. So it was still a great big congrats to the teams that won. The 2 best defensive teams, from watching it, the 2 best defensive teams got through to first and second from what I saw. Snake, Adam and Potato in first from Queensland. Volley, Whippet and Firebird in second. Great to see Whippet get her second trophy of this comp. We'll talk about her other one soon. They're all from Albury and New South Wales, and Volleys and Firebird now live in Queensland, but they went back to play with Whippet, or have played with Whippet, an old compadre, and it's great to see them get second. And then we had Spider, Wax and Husky, who come in third. Alrighty, so Masters Women's Juniors, Masters, so CV gets his second Masters in a row, which is huge, and it was a really strong lineup this year. We've got a lot of really experienced players progressing into that age bracket where they can play Masters now, so it's becoming a really hard comp to get trophies in. Rogue from WA gets a second, well done to Rogue, and Dan from One Up, he gets a third, so well done to those guys. Women's, so Chutch gets her another women's, which is her third, and which is a great achievement, clearly up there in the conversation now as one of the best women, if not the best woman to ever play the game here in Australia, and she's competing really strong, even I think she was in the top 10 in the solos as well, so she's an absolute monster in there from what I'm hearing. She's just playing so well this year, plays for Adelaide Aftershock. And we have Whippet in second, which was amazing for Whippet to get her. She's worked so hard from what we hear, and she lives and breathes laser tag. So great to see her get a second. She's from Albury, and Jip Lee from Brisbane come in for her first trophy for a third. So she got fourth last year, third this year. In juniors, we have Moss in his first year from Queensland, Sunshine Coast. Little apprentice of Cyrex, which is great to see. Marmaduke from Adelaide, well done, in second, and Comsnake from WA in third. I haven't met Comsnake yet, but I was very lucky enough to hear his commentary on the stream the other night, and I thought he had a really good perspective on the game. Seems like they've got some good young players coming through from WA. So that's a wrap from us. Just a few comments. Love to hear if you've got any questions, or if you want us to talk about certain things after the Cascades, happy to do that. Best of luck to all the teams, and we're tuning out for now, and hope to see you soon.